Today, we're tackling the silver market, in particular, what's been driving recent volatility, as well as what the technicals and fundamentals are telling us about where silver could potentially head going into 2024. So let's discuss the drivers of silver recently, and it's really been trading as a precious metal play, highly correlated with gold once again, and being pushed around by expectations regarding US Federal Reserve policy. So over the last 6 weeks or so, we've seen expectations build for rate cuts next year in the United States that simultaneously pushed the US dollar lower, as well as global bond yields. And that's always a really positive recipe for precious metals. We saw gold hit record highs, albeit briefly after a melt up and a pullback. Silver followed suit with that. Now, there was something of a retracement for precious metals, for silver, but we've just received the final US Federal Reserve meeting decision for 2023. And the central bank more or less affirmed the market's expectations that rates will be cut next year. That's put further downward pressure on yields. Markets price in as many as 6 cuts from the Fed in 2024. And the dollar has also depreciated too. So lower yields, lower dollar, great for silver, great for precious metals, and it's seemingly pushing things to the upside. Now, there's also the element of the industrial applications for silver, and that also might have a bullish story emerging next year as well. First and foremost, lower rates can be supportive of investment, things like EVs as well as other renewable technologies require silver as an input into many products. Lower rates boost that investment, boost demand for silver potentially. So we could get another kind of renewed investment boom into some things like electric vehicles, as well as other home appliances that require silver as a commodity. That is also combined with an environment too that, well, reportedly is seeing continued supply side pressure. In fact, there's expected to be a deficit still in the silver market going into 2024, which, if we continue to see some decent growth, lower rates, and what have you, there could be the dynamic that we see upward pressure on prices coming through, because those trends around EVs as well as renewables and the transition to greener energies and the like is very, very bullish for silver in the long run. So there's a lot of volatility around in the silver market. Again, a lot of that's due to the speculation around monetary policy. But overall, we are seeing signs that maybe silver wants to creep higher once again, and that the momentum is starting to move to the upside, that the fundamentals are looking a little bit more constructive. Taking a look at the technicals now, and here are some levels that we are watching and some trends that are emerging. We can note here what looks like a bit of a false break down through downward sloping trend resistance when we did get that melt up in precious metals recently. Our prices plunged significantly back into the low $22 level. But as we look at things now, and especially given the rally in precious metals we've seen once again emerging post-Fed, we're retesting that downward sloping trend line and, potentially looking at breaking through that once again. If that happens to occur, will we bring our eyes back towards that sort of $24.50 mark, and then $25 as being potential resistance levels to the upside? $26 does appear to be a level of resistance to buyers emerging there when we did get that melt up a few weeks ago. Some positive signs in terms of momentum too, pushing above several key moving averages, and we've got the RSI popping its head, at least on the daily charts, above 50. Really, buyers have emerged below $22 once again. It has to be said, those key factors really do remain around those macro risks, but those fundamental drivers too could be what ultimately gives that kind of structural push for silver to try and form a stronger base and a bullish trend going into next year. So that's what's driven the recent rally in silver. Despite the pullback we have seen in precious metals, things are looking constructive again from that macro story tied into expectations for rate cuts in the US next year and that softer US dollar. But don't forget to keep an eye on those market fundamentals for physical demand for silver. There is still that industrial story there tied back into the energy transition thematic. It could be something of a bullish driver as well going into next year, really on the basis that we're still seeing that supply deficit combined with the demand for precious metals that is driving price action a little bit more in the short term. Make sure you like and follow our page, as well as comment below with your thoughts. We'd be interested to see what your views are on the silver market going into next year.